In the 1970s, Ghana stood at a crossroads, its vibrant heartbeat muffled under layers of economic struggle and political turmoil. Imagine living in a world where the future seems as uncertain as the flickering light of a candle caught in a storm. This was Ghana, a country yearning for change, for a leader who could cut through the darkness with the promise of a brighter dawn. Enter Jerry John Rawlings.
Without the true economic power lying in the hands of the people of this country. Bueno, obvio, mira. ¿Ya?
He was a young flight lieutenant in the Ghanaian Air Force, whose name would soon become synonymous with one of the most pivotal moments in Ghana's history. But before we delve into the heart of the June 4th uprising, let's take a step back and understand the world Rawlings was about to challenge. Ghana, once a beacon of hope and independence in Africa, had seen its share of leaders, each promising to guide the nation towards prosperity. Yet, with each passing year, the dream seemed to slip further away. Corruption had woven itself into the fabric of governance so tightly that it seemed impossible to untangle. The economy was in shambles, leaving many Ghanaians to face the harsh realities of poverty and despair. In schools, imagine sitting in a classroom where the talk of the day isn't about homework or sports, but about whether your parents will have a job tomorrow, or if there will be enough food on the table tonight. For the youth of Ghana, this wasn't a distant reality, it was their daily life. Rawlings, though a military man, was not blind to the struggles of his fellow Ghanaians. He saw the corruption, felt the collective hunger for change, and most importantly, he believed that a new Ghana was possible. But belief alone wasn't enough to turn the table. It required action, a spark to ignite the flames of revolution. And so, on a day that would mark its place in history, Rawlings and a group of like-minded soldiers decided it was time for that spark. Their goal wasn't just to overthrow a government, it was to awaken a nation, to stir the hearts of its people towards a collective fight for justice and integrity. However, what awaited Ghana was a story not just of courage and revolution, but of heartbreak and the complex, often painful journey towards change. The June 4th uprising was more than a coup, it was the opening chapter of a tumultuous struggle. One that would test the resolve of the nation and the convictions of its would-be savior. As we embark on this journey through history, remember that the story of the June 4th uprising is not just a tale of political intrigue, it's a reflection of the human spirit. Join me next chapter. Imagine the tension in the air on the eve of June 4th, 1979. It's the kind of tension that feels almost electric, like the quiet before a storm. Across Ghana, people went about their evening routines unaware that the dawn would bring a day unlike any other. a day that would change the course of Ghanaian history forever. In the spring of 1979, Ghana was a nation on the brink. The air was thick with frustration and a longing for change, a sentiment that resonated deeply within the walls of the Ghanaian military. Among them was Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, a figure whose name was about to become synonymous with one of the most dramatic episodes in Ghana's history. However, the path to that infamy was anything but straightforward. Rawlings' initial attempt to seize power and redirect the course of the nation was by all accounts a disaster in planning and execution. The coup attempt on May 15, 1979 was less a display of military precision and more a testament to the desperation and disorganization that plagued those who sought to challenge the status quo. Imagine the scene: a small group of officers led by Rawlings attempting to take control of the government, driven by a desire to eradicate corruption and restore integrity to the Ghanaian public life. Yet, their plans quickly unraveled. The coup was thwarted almost as soon as it began, and a failure that highlighted the haphazardness that Rawlings would later be both criticized and celebrated for. In the aftermath, Rawlings was arrested and swiftly sentenced to death. It was a moment that could have been the end of a story, a footnote in the annals of failed military coups, but history had other plans. The very failure of the coup and Rawlings' impending execution galvanized support amongst those who shared his frustrations but had not previously acted. The most dramatic twist came just weeks later, led by junior officers and enlisted men who saw in Rawlings a symbol of their own disillusionment. In a daring move, they broke Rawlings out of custody on June 4, 1979, setting the stage for a successful uprising that would install him at the head of the Ghanaian government. So, this chapter of the story is not just about a failed coup or the chaotic events that followed. It's about understanding the context in which these events unfolded. Ghana was a nation where many felt marginalized and voiceless. They were plagued by economic difficulties and political corruption. Rawlings' initial failure and subsequent rescue by junior officers spoke volumes about the widespread desire for change, despite the disorganized and seemingly impulsive nature of their actions. The heartbreaking cost of these events is multifaceted. On one hand, it highlighted the desperation of those willing to risk everything for the promise of a better Ghana. On the other hand, it underscored the chaos and uncertainty that often accompany radical change. Following the dramatic events of June 4th, 1979, Jerry John Rawlings found himself at the helm of a nation yearning for transformation. The uprising that thrust him into power was born out of a mix of desperation and hope. It was a reflection of Ghana's deep-seated issues with corruption and governance. Yet the path forward was fraught with challenges, embodying the complexities of turning revolutionary zeal into sustainable change. In the immediate aftermath of the coup, the country was in a state of cautious optimism. Rawlings and the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, AFRC, which he led, promised to address the very issues that had driven them to action: corruption, social injustice, and economic mismanagement. The AFRC embarked on a house-cleaning exercise, a campaign aimed at purging the nation of its corrupt elements. This period was marked by trials and executions of former officials, a controversial and painful process that laid bare the costs of revolution. Yet, the promise of a new dawn was not without its contradictions. The same fervor that had propelled Rawlings and the AFRC to power also led to excesses that would later be critiqued. The swift justice meted out was seen by some as necessary, breaking with the past, yet for others it was a source of fear and uncertainty, raising questions about the rule of law and the principles of fairness and justice. Despite these tensions, Rawlings' rise to power resonated with many Ghanaians who had long felt marginalized. His background and rhetoric, often focusing on the plight of the common man, positioned him as a leader capable of bridging the gap between the governing elites and the general populace. This connection was crucial in sustaining his leadership through the turbulent times that followed. As 1979 gave way to the early 1980s, Ghana continued to grapple with economic difficulties. Rawlings' initial rule as the head of the AFRC was short-lived as he handed power over to a civilian government later that year. However, the challenges of governance and the lingering issues of corruption and inefficiency led to another coup on December 31st, 1981. Once again, placing Rawlings at the center of Ghana's political stage. This period highlighted the inherent difficulties in translating revolutionary ideals into effective governance. The establishment of the Provisional National Defense Council, PNDC, under his leadership signaled a move towards stabilizing the economy and implementing reforms aimed at encouraging growth and development. The aftermath of the June 4th uprising and the subsequent years under Rawlings' leadership were a time of significant transformation for Ghana. The era was characterized by attempts to rebuild the nation's institutions, address economic challenges, and navigate the delicate balance between authority and reform. The era of Jerry Rawlings was a crucible in which the modern Ghanaian state was forged. A period that tested the resilience, adaptability, and spirit of its people. As we look beyond Rawlings' time in office, we see a Ghana that continues to navigate the complexities of development, democracy, and the quest for social equity. This final chapter reflects on the progress made, the challenges that persist, and the path that lies ahead for Ghana. Since the end of the Rawlings era, Ghana has made significant strides in consolidating its democracy, characterized by peaceful transitions of power between different political parties. This is a testament to the strength of Ghana's democratic institutions and the political maturity of its citizenry. Economically, Ghana has continued to grow with investments in sectors beyond its traditional reliance on gold, cocoa, and more recently, oil. Socially, there have been efforts to expand access to education and healthcare, aiming to build a more inclusive society. However, the vision for a prosperous and equitable Ghana is still a work in progress. Economic growth is not always translated into widespread prosperity, with many Ghanaians still grappling with poverty and limited access to basic services. The specter of corruption remains a challenge, underscoring the need for continued vigilance and reform. The challenges that Rawlings sought to address, corruption, social injustice, and economic instability, are not relics of the past but ongoing issues that require persistent effort and innovative solutions. The digital age presents new opportunities for growth and development, but also new challenges, including the digital divide and the need for cybersecurity. Environmental sustainability has emerged as a critical concern, with climate change posing a significant threat to Ghana's agriculture and natural resources and overall development. Addressing these challenges will require a concerted effort from all sectors of society, leveraging technology, innovation, and international cooperation. The path ahead for Ghana is one of cautious optimism. The lessons learned from the Rawlings era, both positive and negative, offer valuable insights for navigating the future. Embracing good governance, transparency, and accountability will be crucial in sustaining Ghana's democratic gains and fostering economic growth. Investing in education and technology can empower the next generation of Ghanaians to innovate and compete in a globalized world. Furthermore, embracing inclusivity and social justice will ensure that the benefits of development are shared equitably, building a stronger, more cohesive society. Jerry John Rawlings' legacy is a complex one, marked by significant achievements and profound challenges. As Ghana moves forward, it carries the lessons of his era into the future. The spirit of resilience, ambition, and a desire for social justice that defined Rawlings' time in power remains a guiding light for Ghana. As we close this chapter on Ghana's history, let us look forward with hope, drawing on the strength of our past to build a brighter future. Ghana's journey continues. It's a testament to the enduring spirit of the people and the unyielding promise of its potential. In remembering Rawlings, we do not merely look back on a period of history, but forward to the possibilities that lie ahead. Ghana's best days are yet to come. Built on the foundations of its rich history, the dedication of its people, and the lessons learned from leaders like Jerry John Rawlings.